a couple years back, I had published a couple D&D adventures, and then around the release of 5.5, we had that whole debacle of D&D changing their community license agreement, and I wanted to create something then that scratched that same itch for me of writing adventures and releasing them, but would be a little more open source, a little more didn't have to worry about any legalities. So I created this little solo RPG zine and then did absolutely nothing with it. I've never even played it. So I thought, let's record a little playtest so you can see how it is, and I'll share with you how you could probably access it. Not probably, definitely can play it. And give me some feedback, and who knows, maybe this will go somewhere, maybe not. But if that interests you, let's do it. To set the scene, it is called Out of the Abyss. You wake up, no memories or recollections of your former self. You are, in essence, an empty shell. And you must go forth to discover not only who you are, but who you wish to be, who you will be, and learn more from the stories. To set the scene, the working title is Out of the Abyss. You play as a character who has forgotten nearly everything about themselves. You are, in essence, an empty husk, but also full of potential. As you go forth, you make decisions, you will earn equipment, earn new abilities, and powers that you can do, and the hope is that through these little sort of short stories and solo adventures, your character will grow and progress, and you can move on to different stories. I thought maybe it could be like you have like a set storyline of like edition 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as like little spin-off adventures that you could play, kind of like one-shots by yourself. Some of the inspiration was kind of like the Witcher series, having that grow out of just short stories that he wrote for a magazine. This could be zines that I give out at conventions or sell, so like physical media that you can have, and there's some elements into that. So once I go through all the rules and things, you'll see a little more of that inspiration. But the kind of hope is that it's just sort of sandboxy, rules light. It's not very serious. It's not always going to be like super in-depth, but it's more of just something kind of fun for you to sort of do if you have a free evening. And I've got a free evening right now, so. All right, I just wanted to show a little bit of what you need to have beforehand. So I have the PDF of the document here. I've got a whole dice bowl, but the whole system is built around D6s. I also have some minis to use. I'll explain a little bit further of like how the minis incorporate. You don't necessarily have to play with minis, but that was a big aspect that I wanted to make sure I included. And then I also have, because it's rented, like I said, I want it to be on a zine. So the thought is like you would mark up the zine and edit it in that way, so that it's kind of like a single use. You can't go back and play the adventure because you've put all your notes in it, you've marked it up. Another idea I had, and it's in the rules, to Sharpie out any line of text when you make a decision that you did not make. So you can't go back, you can't read it, you can't change your mind. It's Sharpied out. Obviously, you are beholden to yourself following the rules. So, but I've got this little notebook, and I copied down the character sheet a little bit. So I have Out of the Abyss playtest, character name, character race. Again, right now I don't give any descriptors. I just leave it to you. Whatever race you want to be. The world is your oyster. It's a sandbox. Who are you? Just like a little blurb for you and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and go through the character creation process then. All right, so making a character. So first off, character name. I've got a default character name that I use for everything, and that is Hymir Redbolt. It is the name of my very first D&D character, and I use that for almost any video game I play. That is going to be my first character. It's Hymir Redbolt. He's always an elf, and he is always an aspiring mage of some sort. So my character race, I'm putting in for elf. Who are you? I'm writing that aspiring mage. All right, now in the rules, every new character starts with a 0 in each stat. You have 4 stats. You have muscle, agility, magic, faith. Pretty straightforward. Muscle is your oomph, physical attacks, swords and stuff like that. Agility, you being agile. Your magic, are you able to use magic? And then faith to capture religious aspects. Because I had some thoughts of Out of the Abyss. It's kind of like dark, a little more nefarious, maybe a little more demonic. So I wanted to have faith as a stat. Every new character, you can either start with 7 HP or you can roll 2d6 for your starting HP. Like I said, I've never play tested this, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll 2d6 and we'll see what that does. All right, I got 6. 6 health. That's not terrible. 1 less than starting. But who knows? And as I go through, if you're like, hey, this would be a good idea, I'm all ears. Like I said, it has been published in Team Fielding. I'll put some more information on it. Put out sort of like this grab bag as a fundraiser for, I believe, the Trevor Project or some other trans outlet. And so this is actually in there. So if you bought that, you already have Out of the Abyss. So got that. I am level 1. I don't think I have that in the rules right now, but we'll just go ahead and put that level 1. Or maybe I think I was also playing with there are no levels. It's just the adventures you've played through. But I feel like maybe a level correlates to that you've beaten an adventure or something like that. That might be helpful. Stat changes with new items or traits, granting plus or minus depending on relevant rolls. And then there's some rules for combat. So this is kind of where the minis come in. I have a little mini to showcase my little wizard. I also have some generic enemy minis, got some skeletons and stuff like that. Your combat is dictated by your character's items and traits. You can activate 1 trait and use 1 item per turn unless otherwise stated. You can always move up to 3 hexes or squares unless otherwise stated. NPCs and enemies go off of a random table that you just roll for. So when it's their turn, you roll, and then it will tell you what they do. There is a hex grid in the zine, so you can, again, the idea is you have your little notebook, and then for combat, you just kind of go to the hex grid, and you can mark it up. Or if you want to play with minis, you can. And then after each combat encounter, you do heal, and so you roll a 1d6 to signify you healing. And yeah, so without further ado, that's kind of the gist of it. So the rest of this video is going to be me playing through it and then giving some narration, and hopefully you enjoy.
You wake up. Your vision is hazy around the edges, like in a dream, but you're certain you are lucid. With your head splitting from an encroaching migraine, you ponder, how long was I sleeping? Where am I? A voice, not your own, replies, choose one. Even before questioning this poor response to your private thoughts, or where this voice originated, or the important question of to whom did the voice belong to, your vision sharpens around 3 objects: an old sword, a tattered tome, and a cracked holy symbol. Your heart tugs towards one, a possible memory surfacing to your soul.
Alright, so I made my first choice, and I got to add the Tattered Tome to my inventory. The Tattered Tome gives me a +1 to my magic trait, so now my magic is a 1 and not just a 0. And my Tattered Tome gives me an attack. I can roll 2d6 to make a ranged magic attack. A 2 to 5 is a miss, a 6 to 10 is 1 damage, and then an 11 to 12 is 3 damage. And now I'm gonna get set up for the combat scenario.
The item feels comfortable and natural in your hands. Knowledge and memories of training flow into your mind. As your thoughts settled, so too does your vision upon a pair of figures walking towards you. The voice reverberates in your ears once again. Now, let us see you put this to use. The figures are now closer, and you see clearly that they are two humanoid skeletons animated back to a false semblance of sentient existence. The closest draws a rusted blade, and one further away has an aged bow. Enter into combat.
So this is kind of what the rules look like for combat. It gives you a descriptor, so the combat starts with a sword skeleton 1 space away from yourself and an archer 3 spaces away from yourself. So I've got a little grid here. So if this is me, right? Boop. I've got 2 skeletons. He's going to be just 1 space away from me, so he could be here. And then this guy is going to be 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll say right here, right? And so that kind of gives you some freedom and power to sort of like what exactly counts as 1 space away. If you really wanted to do like 1 space like that, or I'm sorry, 1 space and then he's like 1, 2, 3, or you wanted to do, you can give yourself some variation of that. 1, 2. I think that's 1, 2, 3. Sure. All right. So that's my little scenario right here. And so I'm going to... before I play it out, I want to show you. So then we have this random table here. And then the health for each skeleton, you can find it on a table all the way at the end, which is extremely inconvenient. And so that's a mental note that's already something I should update. So skeleton, 5, and spoilers for some stuff, but so don't look at that. All right. Well, otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and play through that combat. All right. I'm very glad I did not record the combat because it was very tedious and not interesting, and was taking too damn long. So that's all good to know. I'm going to put that down. Combat needs some work. But the idea, I think, is there. I think everything, my guy is just too weak and too much. I could, thankfully, sort of like, what I did was I kited the skeletons and I just kind of like kept chucking shots, and then I realized I'm not following my range rules. And then I realized like my damage is super low for 2 skeletons, so like, and each skeleton had 5 health, so I had to do 10 health, and on average my best attack does 1 damage per turn. That really sucked and did not feel good. So I think either it needs to be 1 skeleton or damage needs to be bumped up. Maybe the base damage is 2 and crit is 3, or crit is 4. I don't know. But that was really lackluster and only has me worried for what other fights will have. But I am left at 3 health, so at the end of combat, I can roll 1d6, right? I'm going to check my rules. Yep, roll 1d6 to see how much I heal. We heal 5. All right, so we're back up full. 6 health. We're going to keep going.
Sweat drips off your brow. It must have been some time since you last exerted yourself like this. A moment passes, but the voice does not come to you. Looking ahead, you now see a path that splits. Will you go left or right? Left. Walking down the way, the haze opens into a slight clearing. It does not matter that the edges are still blurred as you see in the center of your vision a figure glinting in ethereal light. Upon closer inspection, you can make out rusted armor on the decaying corpse. However, the helm of this former warrior still sustains its luster. Will you take the helm, bury the body, or move on? You pull the helmet off of the body with ease. As you inspect this unique piece of armor, a rustling builds as the corpse pulls itself to standing. Have you no respect for the dead? Says the warrior, the corpse now smoldering with brackish smoke. An arm reaches towards you, that same smoke creating the hand that is missing. Return what is mine, or taste my blade. Will you fight, or will you return the helm? You refuse to return the helm to the now standing Drake Blood Shade. An ephemeral two-handed axe appears in his hand. Go to combat.
Alright, so I completely forgot, and I did decide to move forward with the mini boss that I made, and I know it's going to be really tough, and it's going to suck. And I was like, well, Alex, you're making this video. You could go back and do the other choice. No one will know. But because the first round of combat sucked so much, I thought maybe it'd be smart to do the second one and give it a shot. So that's what we're doing. Wish me luck as I fight the Drake Blood Shade. Alright, we fought the Drake Blood Shade. Combat was far more interesting. The one-on-one was super engaging. The Drake Blood also had some more thematic stuff. His Shadow Axe does a lot more damage. But he had a lot of stuff of like, if he wasn't in range, when you roll his attack, he'll move closer and still attack, but has like a -1 to damage, so you're not getting hit as hard. So kiting was, again, really good. I didn't mess it up this time. He also has an ability where like he'll take a little bit of extra damage and have a better chance to hit you on his next attack, and so that really kind of helped offset things as well. So I only took 2 damage that time, thankfully. And I think something I'm realizing is maybe I should include that your +1 to magic gives you a +1 to hit. So when you're rolling, because then it will make it, I think, a little bit easier to get your crit. So like if you roll a 10 now, so 10, 11, 12 is now your crit, and so you're kind of like dishing out a little more damage. The Shade had a total of 9 health to begin with, so it's like a little bit more than the skeletons, but just because it was concentrated on one character, I was like, all right, how can I position myself to survive while just kind of pinging him? Because on average, you should be doing damage every turn, since it's just 2 to 5 on a miss. So that's kind of low, but it's also old weapon, so it's supposed to not be great. So I did it. So let's see what I get.
An unholy screech fills the air as you deliver the killing blow to the Drake Blood Shade. The helm lies on the floor and is now also accompanied by a bracer adorned with a single ruby in the center. You've gained the Helm of Visions and the Shadow Axe bracer. After collecting any of this treasure you desire, proceed to 8.
Okay, so defeated the Drake Blood Shade, and now I can add some stuff to my inventory. So I added the Helm of Vision, which gives me +3 to my total HP. It also gives me my first trait. So you can always do 1 trait and 1 attack per turn, unless otherwise stated. And this trait is once per combat, and the next attack against you has a -2 to hit. So the whole flavor of it is like you can see into the future, and that helps you dodge the next attack. I'm also updating my health here and updating my stats. So now I have a +1 in muscle, +2 to magic, and a -1 to my faith. And then I got the Shadow Axe bracers, which increases my muscle and magic and gives me that -1 to faith. And then it allows me to summon the Shadow Axe. It's a 2-handed axe with the same stats. So it's a little harder to hit. It's a 2 to 6 is a miss. A 7 to 9 is 2 damage, though, and a 10 to 12 is 3 damage. So big damage. The payoff is supposed to be that it doesn't hit as much. We'll see if that plays out in actuality.
You choose to follow the shadow which darted off towards your right. You eventually reach an open but empty room. "You missed me," a voice says from behind you. Turning around, you see nothing but the shadow darting back down the way you came, leaving behind a potion with a note. The note reads, "Sorry, not sorry. Consider this potion a gift for leaving me alone. Add to your inventory, and then proceed to 14. You keep trekking ahead. Rounding the corner, you hear a voice call out to your left. "Hey, Get back here! As a figure slips into the dark towards your right. Will you follow the voice or follow the figure?
We got a potion, so we can add a potion to our inventory. We have a shadow potion. It can only be used on your turn in combat, which kind of makes sense. The phrasing of this is kind of funny. The next 3 attacks against you have a -2 to hit, and you can now move 4 hexes for 3 turns. Should probably also in the future put whether is it single use, 2 times uses? How does it work? Again, it's like these little details where you're just like boop, 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 and that you don't find out until doing playtesting. All right, let me get that updated, and we're gonna move on to the next encounter, the next event.
14. Returning back to your path, you begin to notice that something is different. Your vision is becoming more cloudy and hazy once again. As you wonder whether or not you will fall unconscious, you come across a shrine, carved out of a red and black marble. This ancient shrine depicts a demon with spiraling horns and a pig-like nose. The voice from before beckons you. Give an offering, and you will return to full strength once again. Listening to the voice's call, you look and see a stone dagger. Taking the dagger, you draw your own blood to present an offering on the shrine. You take 1d6 damage. As your blood hits the stone, the fog in your vision clears perfectly. However, it is replaced with a splitting migraine. You touch the top of your head where the pain is emanating from, and feel 2 small stumps in the same position as where the horns on the shrine are situated. You and I are now connected. Together we will grow in power. Shall we see what things we can accomplish together? Gain the following traits. 1 with Murgle-Zebe.
Alright, so I am now 1 with Murgle-Zebe. It's going to give me a new trait. Once per combat, you can summon the powers of Murgle-Zebe, granting you a +2 on all attacks and a -2 to all attacks made against you for 2 turns. After 2 turns, all attacks made against you will have a +2 to hit for 2 turns. Add a demon to your race. So I'm going to do that first. I am now an elf demon. Pretty sick. And so the part of the idea is like that kind of stuff would play into different other adventures. Like if you have demon in your race and you're playing some sort of short adventure that like you have to work with the cleric is like different. They're going to react to you in different ways and stuff like that. Or have some sort of like caps of like if you have a +2 to your muscle, you have this option available to you. If you don't, you have this option to you. And it wouldn't be like something that happens all the time. It would just be like extremely situational. So kind of like help give you that fluff. Because again, the idea isn't so much that it's like counts for everything. They're like the loosey-goosiness of it is part of the charm is what I'm hoping for. So finding that sweet spot of like not hyper designed, not under designed either. Kind of like in this fun little ambiguous area where like it's supposed to be unbalanced to some extent. Yeah. All right, let me get that marked up, and we're gonna keep going.
Your vision clears again. The shrine is now gone with no trace of ever having been there before. Before you is an archway created by naturally fallen stones. A light bleeds through the opening, and a breeze caresses your face. Before you can approach the exit, you see a creature apparate out of a purple cloud of smoke. Sulfur fills your nostrils as you see a demon with horns and nose like that in the statue. You are one with us now. Now you too serve Murgle-Zebe, the demon says to you. Your head begins to radiate the heat of pain. As you reach your fingertips up, you feel 2 small horns protruding from the crown of your head. Hold out your weapon. The demon is gone, and so too is the haze of your vision. The path leads outside to freedom, to adventure, possibilities. Yet, so much is still missing. Who are you? Who was that demon? Why are you here? No answers come, but that does not mean answers cannot be found or created.
All right, so the little demon guy has upgraded my weapon, And so now instead of a tattered tome, I have a demon touched tome. I now get instead of +1 to magic, I get a +2 to magic. And the damage stats are roughly the same, except now my base attack does 2 damage and my crit does 3 damage. And as an action, I can now cast a specific spell called Demon Fire, where I make a ranged magic attack that's a little further. 2 to 4 it misses, 5 to 8 it does 1 damage, 9 to 10 it does 2 damage, 11 to 12 it does 2 damage and burns for an extra 1 damage on targets. Again, it doesn't really. My rules don't specify what it means to cast a spell. Is that a trait? Is that my action? Am I able to do like the regular spell? Am I able to use the tome, or am I use like the regular spell or Demon Fire? Am I allowed to do both? What is? I don't know. It doesn't say. So that's another thing that I will have to update and fix. All right, so this is my character sheet now at the end of the adventure. You've got the name. You can see my race is now updated to Elf Demon. I've got more health. I now have stats. I have a +1 to muscle, 0 agility, 3 magic, faith. I have my Demon Touch Tome, Helm of Visions, Shadow Axe Bracer, Shadow Potion. I am 1 with Mugglezeeb. And then this was the combat stuff. And that's Out of the Abyss, at least some of the options. If you are interested and you want to try it out, I'll have a link down in my description on how you can get that. It'll be up for free. You can play it. I might also have like a Google form on there, maybe in the document itself, or somewhere I'll have a link where like to get feedback possibly, or if you want to leave some feedback of things you thought of down in the description below or in the comments, feel free. I'm totally interested. Playing this has really kind of like reignited a spark in it. I know this is a little different than what I've been uploading, but it was kind of a nice change of pace and a cool idea that I had, and so I wanted to stick to it and go with it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share with your friends, and I will catch you around in the next video.